Hello students, this is part 2 for drawing permanent maxillary right central incisor. In this video I will demonstrate the procedure for drawing medial, distal and incisal aspects.
Now I will draw the medial and distal aspects. I will follow the same procedure. I will draw the midline. I will draw the three reference lines that passes through the incisal edge, cervical area and the root apex. Then I will divide the crown also vertically into three equal thirds, the incisal third, the middle third and the cervical third. I will use the same measurement for the crown length, which is 10.5 multiplied by 4 equal 42. And here I will measure 52. 13 multiplied by 4 equals 52. So this is the incisal reference line. Perpendicular to it I will draw the midline. Then I will draw the line that passes through the cervical area by marking the length of the crown, which is 42 millimeter. I will measure 42. This is 10, 20, 30, 40, and this is 42. Then the root length, which is 52 millimeters. This will be 10, this is 20, 30, 40, and 50, and this is 52. Finally, I will divide the crown into three vertical thirds. The length is 42 divided by 3 equal 14. So I will measure 14 from the incisor reference line up. This is 14. I will put the mark. Then I have another 14 millimeters. I put a mark. Then I draw additional 2 lines parallel to the remaining reference lines. In the labial and lingual aspects, we mark the both sides of the crown outline as medial and distal. Here, the sides will be labial and lingual. So this is the labial and this is the lingual. For drawing the tooth from the medial or distal aspects, in addition to the length of the crown and length of root measurement, we have another 4 measurements. The labio or buccal-lingual diameter of the crown, which represent the labiolingual thickness of the crown at the crest of curvature, labially and lingually. And the labiolingual diameter of a crown at cervix, which is this one, and the curvature of cervical line, both medially and distally. So I will mark first the labiolingual diameter of a crown at cervix, which is 6 millimeter multiplied by 4, it will equal 24, then divided by 2, it will equal 12. So on the cervical line, I will measure 12 millimeters to the labial and 12 to the lingual. This is 12. I put a mark, and 12 to the lingual side, and I put a mark. Then to mark the labiolingual diameter of the crown, which is the maximum thickness of the crown labiolingually, it's 7 millimeter multiplied by 4, it will equals 28 millimeter divided by 2, it equals 14 millimeter. So as with the medial and distal contact area, here I need to know exact location of the crest of curvature labially and lingually. As you have studied in the lecture, the crest of curvatures labially and lingually are located in the cervical third, just coronal to the cervical line. In the cervical third, just coronal to the cervical line. So I will put these marks in the middle of the cervical third. I will measure 14 from the midline. In the middle of this is the cervical third, and in the middle of the cervical third, I will measure 14 millimeter to the labial. This is 14, and put a mark, and 14 millimeter to the lingual, and put a mark. After completing drawing the reference lines and marking the crown dimensions, I will draw the crown outline. Following the information you have studied in the lecture, the labial outline is convex on the cervical third, then it becomes straight or flattened near the incisal area or incisal ridge. The incisal ridge of the crown is on line with the center of the root. The lingual outline, on the other hand, is convex at the cingulum, then it becomes concave at the lingual fossa, then it becomes slightly convex again near the incisal edge. The root outline is cone-shaped as well, like the labial and lingual aspects, with a bluntly rounded apex. Finally, to complete the mesial aspect, I will draw the curvature of the cervical line mesially. The curvature of the cervical line, as you studied in the lecture, is 3.5 millimeter, which is the greatest of any upper tooth in the mouth, and it is one of the characteristic features of maxillary central incisor. The magnification factor is 4. 3.5 multiplied by 4 equals 14 millimeter. So, from the cervical line, or the cervical reference line, I will measure 14 millimeter down. This is 2, 10, 10, this is 14 millimeter, and put a mark. Then I will draw a curved line representing the curvature of the cervical line on the mesial aspect. Thus, the mesial aspect is completed. Then I will draw the distal aspect following the same steps. To draw the distal aspect, I draw the midline and the free reference line. I'll draw the thirds of the crown following the same procedure. This side will be marked as labial and this side will be the lingual. Then I will mark the labiolingual diameter of the crown at the cervix, which is 6 millimeter, multiplied by 4, 24, divided by 2, 12. So I will measure 12 to the labial and 12 to the lingual. Then the crest of curvature, I will draw it using the same procedure. I have 14 millimeter to the labial and 14 to the lingual. As we mentioned, the crest of curvature labially and lingually is located in the cervical third, just coronal to the cervical line. Then I will draw the crown outline, which is convex labially, then become straight or slightly convex approaching the incisal edge, which is in line with the line that bisects the root. Lingually, the outline is convex cervically, representing the cingulum. Then it becomes concave at the lingual fossa, then slightly convex again at the incisal edge. So the lingual aspects have an S-shaped or curved shape. Then the root outline which is cone-shaped with a blunt apex. Finally, the curvature of the cervical line distally is less than that medially. It is 2.5 multiplied by 4, it will equal 10 millimeters. So I will measure 10 millimeters from the cervical line. This is 10 millimeter. I put a mark, then I will draw the curvature of the cervical line on the distal aspect. After completing drawing the medial and distal aspects, don't forget to shade the position of contact areas both medially and distally. In the medial side, the contact area is located in the incisal third near the medial-incisal angle, and it's centered labiolingually, while in the distal aspect it's located at the junction between the middle and thirds, and also it's centered labiolingually. After completing these 4 aspects, we will move to drawing the incisal aspect. I will draw it in the middle of the graph paper. These 2 lines will be used as reference lines for the drawing. One will represent the labiolingual bisecting line, and the second will represent the mesiodistal bisecting line. Since the outline of the incisor from the incisal aspect is relatively uniform, I can bisect my measurements and draw equal or mark equal distances from these lines mesially, distally, and labially and lingually. So I need to mark the distances, which are for the mesiodistal diameter 8.5 millimeter multiplied by 4 equals 34, divided by 2 equal 17 millimeter. So I will mark 17 millimeter to the mesial and to the distal. 10, 15, 17 to the mesial, 10, 15, 17 to the distal. This will be the mesiodistal diameter of the crown. For the labiolingual dimension, the measurement is 7 millimeter multiplied by 4 equals 28, divided by 2 equals 14 millimeter. So I will draw 14 millimeter up toward the labial and 14 millimeter down toward the lingual aspect. This is 10 and this is 14, 10, 14. From these 4 marks, I will draw 4 lines. Forming a box. Within this box, I will draw the outline of the incisal aspect of maxillary right central incisor. Then I will draw the crown outlines, the labial and lingual outline. The labial outline is relatively flat and broad. Then it tapers lingually. The mesiolabial and distolabial line angles are prominent and wider than the mesiolingual and distolingual line angles. The cingulum is wide and occupies the cervical portion of the lingual aspect of the crown. This is the mesial marginal ridge, and this is the distal marginal ridge. The incisal edge is relatively straight and is centered labio-lingually, and this is the lingo-incisal edge, which is slightly prominent medially. Since medially the medial-incisal angle is more sharp than the distal-incisal angle. This is the final result after completing labeling each tooth aspect.